Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. Once again, we are back with Mike and his S14 to do a little bit more work on this platform. For those of you that tuned in last week, you saw that we actually did basically all the general maintenance on this car to make sure that it's been done and done properly. For those of you that didn't get a chance to see that video, I will put a link in the description down below, as well as a banner above my head. That way you can check it out. This week, we're actually gonna be doing two projects. One was planned, one was not. Basically what happened is Mike was driving home the other night. For some odd reason, the fan on the radiator literally fell off the radiator shroud and it dragged a few feet, but it's pretty much good. It's not damaged. So we're gonna take a look at that, get that reattached so it's good to go. The other thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna finally address this door. Now this is something that's bothered me about this car ever since Mike bought it, and that is just the alignment on the door. As you can see right here, it is very close to this fender. In fact, it's even rubbing at some points. And if you look right here, there's a large gap. Now, apparently with these 240Sx's, it's a very common thing where the alignment on this door goes off because the door is just so long and the point of rotation is over here, that over time the door starts to sag anyways. So today we're gonna attempt to basically get it more centered and properly aligned, that way it opens and closes properly. However, two things before we get to either one of those projects. One, if you'd like to support the channel, don't forget to check out the JD Archer shop. If you go to jdarcher.bigcartel.com, you can see a limited selection of t-shirts I've designed that are for sale. And two, if you do want to see more automotive, particularly Nissan content in the future, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. However, with that out of the way, let's go ahead and get to work. Today we're going to start with that radiator fan that I talked about earlier, only because for the most part that's the one that really affects the drivability. The door is an annoyance, but you can still drive the car, but you cannot drive with a fan hanging down below the car. So it is just kind of hanging out here right now. Looks like there was no major damage done, but what we're going to do is get this fan shroud off. And it shouldn't be that hard. From the looks of things, I'm just going to have to remove this intake and the upper radiator hose here. Looks like there's some bolts that just kind of hold the fan shroud on that we're just going to have to remove. And this whole thing should slide out, and then we'll take care of fixing and adhering the fan so it's not going to fall off anytime soon. My plan is just to use a combination of bolts and lock washers, and that way we don't have to worry about it vibrating and falling off. We'll probably go ahead and address the other fan as well while we have it off, just to make sure that doesn't become an issue in the future. And then Mike should be able to drive this, hopefully without too many other issues in the future. So, like I said, the first thing we're gonna do, start getting this off. Looks like that one you've already gotten to. You said it was an 8, but we don't know if this is the original parts or not. Is this one loose also? Okay. So, and then this is loosened here. Well, you might want to just take this out. That way we can just wiggle the whole thing out. It's kind of interesting how many different brace points there are on this. But at some point in time, you're probably also going to get an aftermarket intake.
Then, what is that, 10?
Yeah, this is a 10.
Naturally, Japanese car. So,
okay.
either way, it's come off.
Oh, it's loose.
Okay, spark stop for another job we'll be doing in a future video.
There we go.
Oh, perfect.
Especially because as you pull them, they get tighter.
Yeah.
That's the, it's just this.
Perfect. And you should just be able to twist that one up.
Or, no.
Or just twist it out of the way, I guess. I mean,
Yeah, no, this is going to be in the way totally. Now for the one that's going to create a mess.
we need to get this off as well.
Yeah, that's going to be messy. And then we also need to, ooh, that's annoying as shit.
Don't say that. What you find wrong with my car?
Well, the dryer for your air conditioning is right here, which it's going to have a clearance issue for that. Unless...
think of this. That's okay, the AC doesn't work. Oh wait, no, the AC works really good in this car.
Actually, you know what,
You can see.
Let's see if I can, yeah, cool.
Oh yeah, I think I want to do some.
Oh, no.
Ooh, that's dirty.
No, no, no. He's been running water. This isn't coolant. It's just regular water.
Still punches on the ground.
That's not sweet.
It's like smoke.
This is incorrect. Do you, we're gonna have to get a drainage thing.
That's fine. I have some coolant down in the garage.
Well, we're gonna have to head out anyways to go get the bolts for this.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick up some better coolant. I don't know how long coolant my garage has been sitting there.
I was not expecting that.
Probably didn't want the hoses too.
Oh no, the hose is fine.
Well,
Well,
it's got that grime in it.
it's got all that
It'd be nice-
deposit.
It'd be nice to get that out.
Yeah, see, that should smell sweet. Go ahead, you go and put your finger in there. Yeah, you can even see it's not even green. Look, it's just water. It's clear.
Yeah. Well,
Mother.
this became a flush the coolant system video.
I'm gonna have to edit my video for my language, but this guy,
I'm not. My videos are flagged not for children.
this worries me. Because if he's just running regular water and it looks like it wasn't even distilled water, which doesn't have the deposits, I'm worried that some of your flow passages in your block are clogged.
It has been running well and it hasn't been overheating.
Now, we're gonna get the right stuff for this, but what I'd recommend is,
What we'll do is we'll fill it up.
Yeah.
I'll run it for like a week and then we'll flush it.
well, I was gonna say, I think there's some people that can do like a power flush. I don't know if they run like a chemical through it or something to help scrub it.
I can check with specialty.
Yeah.
I'll take it in April.
Yeah.
We're planning on taking the vehicle to our mechanic that handles the stuff we can't. Specialty Z here in they're actually over in
Simi Valley, yeah.
If you have a Nissan, there's people to go to. He's just gonna kind of give it a once over for us, make sure there's nothing we that miss safety concerns like, oh, don't drive this car till you fix this. We can also have them look, see if they can flush the system.
So as you can see here, there's this basically deposits that are building up in the upper radiator hose here. And usually to me that means that it's usually rust. And it actually is rust from running regular water through the block, and it's not even deionized water, which means you're getting deposits as well. I thought we checked this before. We checked the level. We didn't check to see if it was actually coolant, because I never really thought about somebody who just run regular water. So this job it got slightly more difficult. We're at least going to drain it now, make sure we put in some proper 50-50 mix of some coolant. And at some point in time, Mike's going to have to get this power flush, because I'm now worried that this may clog up some of the channels in the engine, and I don't want that to happen. But let's go ahead and at least get the shroud off.
SR20 center, right, baby?
Don't get me excited like that, because I know what we need to do that. All we need is the ECU, you get the harness from Wire Specialties, and the engine, and we're good. So don't play with me like that, because I'll do it.
Move your hand real quick.
Yeah.
Is that?
So the issue that we're going to have now is we might want to grab something that has this thread pitch that's much shorter. The reason why these nuts are on here is that they bottom out. And so what he did is he did that to create like a spacer.
That makes sense.
Instead of finding the proper bolt. Now we're gonna have to clear the dryer for the AC, because this needs to actually see how it's trapped up against the lip. And we are gonna have to get these bolts out of the way here down below.
Together and get all time.
So where's the electrics? There we go. Ooh, that was much more easy than son of a bitch.
What happened?
Lost the little rubber grommet, but I got it. There we are. Okay, so those are the fans. I just had no idea. So, seeing how these are the way they are, which would be a pain in the ass to do in the future,
Right.
two-part epoxy them in place, because they don't really need that much.
Oh yeah, just enough to give them a little bit of a...
And then that way they become solid studs.
That checks out to me.
Cool, all right. So we now have a plan. Off to the auto parts store or Home Depot, whichever's more convenient. We're back from O'Reilly's. We made a nice little trip out there to get what we need to kind of finish up the project for today. Just to let you know what the plan is, getting a little creative. So The interesting thing about this fan shroud was the previous owner, what he did is to put the electric fans on here. He used a sandwich technique where he ran basically a bolt through the back side with a washer, and then basically had another nut and washer on this side and just kind of sandwiched in there so it was tight. The problem that you have with that in this particular instance is once this is in the car, the fan shroud here will not clear the air conditioning dryer along with the water filler neck. So that what that tells me is the previous owner installed this on the radiator, slid it all into the car as one single mechanism. As you can see, that can be an issue where if in this instance the electric fan falls off, or say like maybe one of the fans goes bad, which does happen with electric fans, you really can't get it out of the car too well, especially when you've got the sandwich technique, because the bolt's gonna spin on you. So what we're gonna do to combat that is I picked up new bolts and we're gonna JB weld them onto the backside here of the fan shroud. That way they're locked into place. What this will allow Mike to do is basically install the fan, then tighten the nuts down without the bolt spinning on the background. So that means that if he ever needs to take this off as a single piece, it should be easier for him. So that's the first part of the plan. The second part of the plan is, as we saw before we took off, previous owner just ran pure water in the coolant system. Looks like he maybe put a little bit of coolant in there, but it wasn't a good 50-50 mix. And that's led to some basically rust and corrosion in the system. We picked up a Radiator Flush detergent. We're gonna run it through there, hopefully clean that all out, flush it with some basically distilled water to get the detergent out, get all the deposits out, we hope. And then we'll run some true 50-50 mix from Prestone. That way we know he's got the right coolant in there. Hopefully we don't have any blocked passages, and it's just better health of the engine. So for right now, we're just gonna start with the project. We're just gonna take, we've got 8 basic nuts here, or bolts, drop it in there, JB weld them in there so they don't move, and then pretty much we should be good to go.
I think we should put one bolt in right now, put the fan on, just to make sure everything matches up before we start JB welding.
I mean,
this is a sanity check.
if you want to, we can do that. It shouldn't be an issue. They're in the car. Head out. Just thread. Yeah, right there. Yep. There you go. There you go.
Cool. Yeah, we got plenty of bite.
Yep.
All right, cool. We'll be good.
There we go.
If it's not one to come off.
All right. Shouldn't be.
This doesn't fit the whole.
Oh, you're right. It isn't.
And I can rotate this in a way to put this one on. This one's going through the hole.
Yep, that's why it fell off.
This fan is not the right fan for this.
No, look at that. It's completely different size.
Yeah, and they have it all zip tied up in a weird way.
Well, that's usually the way it comes, but what I'm looking at...
Like, can it go diagonal? Alright, if I...
All right, so here we are again. We have another change of plan, kind of the curse of buying a used car from people that you know typically don't know how to modify a car well or properly.
At a really good price.
Yeah, at a really good price. And that is the holes for this fan don't match up with the holes that are in the fan shroud, which pretty much means then that this was just holding on by one bolt, and when it finally wiggled free due to vibrations, this whole thing fell off. So what we're gonna do to fix that is we're gonna drill new holes for the holes that are actually correct on this, because the diameter of the fan is correct for the fan shroud. So this one will work as is, and then this one we will basically modify the fan shroud to fit. Really good thing we decided to check before we committed to basically JB locking the bolts into the fan shroud, because then we would have had to go buy some more bolts and would have lost some more time. So we will go ahead and we typically would want to use a Sharpie. We forgot to get one. We are being a little bit lazy. So we're just gonna try some pull holes. Hold on a second, let's make sure that this fan is lined up properly. Yep. Oh, dude, just layer it, man. The scene might look a little bit different in this shot, in that this looks more like your typical California day. It's bright, it's sunny, it's nice and warm, and that pretty much means that last time we did not have enough time to do the radiator flush. after we fix the plans on Mike's car. So we're doing that today. It's been about a week, so we definitely want to get this all taken care of. As you remember, the hose had a lot of rust in it and gunk, so what we want to do is try and clean that out as best we can. What we picked up was a Radiator Flush, basically detergent. You run it through the radiator, you run it up to temperature, hopefully it cleans everything out, you rev it up, maybe drive it a little bit, and then you drop the water out with this in it. Now, you don't want this detergent to stay in your water passages. So what we're gonna do is after we drop it, we're gonna fill it with some clean water, drop the clean water, do it one more time, just to make sure we get all of this out of the system, and then finally fill it up with the proper antifreeze mix, in which case then his coolant system should be good, and he should be able to drive the car for a while.
Damn it. I got owned by that. It's pouring.
It's still coming out pretty good. God, that's brown.
Yeah, I don't mind it.
The color of this should be green, not brown.
Yeah.
So as you saw, the first water that came out was seriously brown, so we're now done with that. We're gonna run some clean distilled water. You wanna use distilled water, not tap water, because distilled water won't have all of the deposits. So we're gonna run this through, heat it up, drain it, run it through again, drain it, and then we're ready for the 50-50 mix. That's still pretty brown. Yeah. That's a good thing. It's done whatever work it's gonna do. All right, so it's definitely looking clearer. It's still a little on the brown side, but it's definitely a lot clearer than the first time through.
Oh yeah, that's way clearer.
Basically, we've run distilled water through this thing probably about 5-6 times. It's still foaming up a little bit, which is to be expected. You're not gonna be able to get all of the detergent out of there. So it's time to run the 50-50 mix in the radiator. What I recommend Mike do is run this for about a week or so. It should kind of open up the thermostat, get some more passageways through, maybe run it through one more time with some clean 50-50, get some more of that detergent out. But other than that, unless we want to be here for 3-4 days trying to get all the detergent out of the system, we've done about as much as we can. See, that's green. That's the color it's supposed to be, not brown. All right, so we finished flushing the system as best we can. We now have a nice full system full of 50-50 mix. So there's actually coolant in this car now. Sounds like it's running pretty good, and I think we're pretty much done for the day. And there we go. We pretty much got the cooling system all figured out for Mike and his S14 here. This was a bit of a surprise for us. Initially, I thought that we were gonna put the fan back on, we were gonna be good, and we could turn our attention to the door. Unfortunately, as you know, when you pick up any car that was owned by somebody who obviously kept their S14 in this type of condition, you have no idea what type of can of worms you're gonna get into when you do any type of work. And that's what happened to us today. Pretty much it looks like the fan was held on by just one bolt, so when it wiggled loose, it fell off and was dragging on the ground. Now that's fixed, it's in there properly. Obviously, the previous owner put just pure water in the cooling system, so now it's been flushed, cleaned, and it's got the proper coolant in there, so that should avoid that problem. So hopefully we've got no blocked passages, and the car's engine should run solid. So basically, this turned out to just be another day of maintenance where we can make this car more solid, so it's ready for when we actually get around to modifications. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, go hit that thumbs up button to let me know. It does help the channel out a lot. As I did say at the beginning of the video, if you want to see more automotive, particularly GTR and now S14 content, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. If after watching this video you have any questions, comments, or you want to bring something to our attention that we should probably also take a look at, go ahead and post in the comment section down below. I will respond to you. I thank you all for watching, and until next time, forget everything else, focus on the finish line.